What is up, my homies? It is Phantom here. Just to let you know, we are sponsored by Advanced GG, a energy supplement. Make sure to use code TSHOW at checkout for 10% off your order on any Advanced GG product. Thank you. Before we start the video, I just want to let you know that I'll be live on the 23rd at 8 a.m. CET at twitch.tv/Mr. Phantom, MRFANTUV. Again, that's twitch.tv/Mr. Phantom at 8 a.m. CET. That would be 2 a.m. EST and or 10 p.m. PST for those of you that live in the United States for the last stream of the year, and we will be doing some awesome trials carries for 24 hours to go into the new or go into Christmas Eve. But anyways, let's continue on with the video. What is up, boys and girls, and everyone else? Today I'll be talking about the comp rework for Season 19 or Season of the Seraph, and this rework was last mentioned back in Season 15 or Season of the Lost, the last season before Witch Queen. And now this season has been teased for the entirety of Witch Queen, and we finally got it this season in Season 19, and the comp rework is quite underwhelming from the lack of the rewards to just, quite frankly, no grind, a bad meta, relatively bad maps, and not necessarily that well executed choices of game modes. But what are my actual thoughts? Now, before we actually get straight into that, I want to talk about the changes that they did make. There is a new title now. For those of you who know, back in Season 4, right, I think even Season 3, they introduced this new title called Unbroken. And Unbroken was this really sweaty title. Now, there have been 2 phases, or 3 separate phases of comp since the iteration of Destiny 2. We had, survival, we had comp, like actual comp. Beforehand, where it was a 4v4 game mode where it rotated through things like Countdown, Clash, Control, being a 4v4 game mode. And then in Season 8 or Shadowkeep, they had changed it to Survival, a brand new game mode where you would start in with 6 lives originally, and whoever, wiped the enemy team first and or had more lives remaining when the timer ran out would win that said match. Or if they tied on lives, it would go to overtime and a zone would spawn in. Now, sometime during Beyond Light, they had changed that, I believe back in Season 14, or they had changed that to 4 lives instead of 6 lives. But we once again got a new iteration and a change to the comp playlist. Now we still have a 3v3 game mode. Instead, we have 3 separate game modes for the new competitive rework and new ranks. I believe starting from Bronze all the way up to Ascendant, and there will be a picture on screen for you to see. But how this new comp rework actually works is the first of 3 game modes is Rift. And for those of you who don't know, by definition, Rift originally was released back in Destiny 1, but in Destiny 2, Rift is a 6v6 objective-based capture the flag mode where Guardians need to capture a spark and deliver to the enemy Rift to score points. The spark has a shock clock as well. If the runner does not get the spark into the enemy Rift, they will be killed. But we had adapted that into a 3v3 game mode instead of a 6v6 game mode for the competitive playlist. That is being game mode 1 of 3. What is game mode 2, you may be asking? That is Showdown. And the basic principle of it is win the match by winning more points than your opponent. Defeat them to score points. The team with the most points wins a round. Increased Crucible rank. Overall Crucible rank points gained are increased. That is no longer true for the 3v3 showdown within the new competitive playlist. And finally, the third game mode is the original Survival that was introduced in Season 8, where you have 4 lives on each side. Whoever eliminates the enemy team wins that round, and or who has life advantage by the end of the round, and or if you tie, whoever captures the zone first wins the round. Those are the 3 core game modes of the new competitive playlist. Now that we actually have some background information, I want to actually and properly get into the discussion of what I think of the new comp game mode. So the basic gist is that the comp game mode is not really well executed. So we have subclass 3.0 or 3.0 subclass additions being Stasis, Void, Arc, and Solar, all having 3.0, having fragments and aspects and verbs added to them, creating a lot of ability variety, which is pretty unique in the PvE aspect. But for when you want to have something properly competitive, and or just a fun experience within the Destiny 2 meta, a lot of abilities just does not go well. And right now, we're kind of looking at a 65 to 35% ability to gunplay usage, 60-40, where almost 60 or 65% of all engagements are ability based and not actually properly or not properly weapon based. And so it leads to a lot of frustrating situations, whether you lead into something with movement and have the proper positioning and some sort of tracking melee comes at you, but it can be very frustrating to play. And so we have a lot of ability usage, which really makes it difficult to enjoy that aspect of comp. That is my one personal gripe. And another issue that I have is the actual weapon meta itself. So for Destiny 2 in general, there are things where we have exotic weapons and exotic armor. And a lot of time, people will use an exotic weapon and armor. But since the introduction of this thing called AE back in the beginning of Season 17, along with the release of Solar 3.0, we got something called airborne effectiveness, in which now a lot of things are very inconsistent when you take flight. And especially with our special weapons, which are like shotguns, fusion rifles, and snipers, and those sort of weapons. They're very inaccurate in air, and for the longest time, a lot of primaries during that Season 17, 18, and the beginning of Season 19 era were also not very effective. And so it led to even more frustration when you think about the abilities. Think about it when you properly play something with your hand cannon, your sniper, shoddy, just with your guns in general, and the game is actively RNGing you and working against you to when you make the proper movement and the proper engagement with your gun, and then you get RNG'd because the game says, oh no, you were inaccurate in air. And so then that leads into the same ability issue, where it becomes very frustrating to where now your bullets don't hit, and now you get ability. And so that's even more frustrating. But what adds on top of that frustration is the meta that was set in for the competitive playlist about a week prior to Season 19, where a lot of people would put on the Sidon Ramparts exotic. And for those of you who don't know what the Sidon Rampart exotic is, the Sidon Rampart exotic is essentially the Titan Barricade. When you place out a barricade, it has around 600 health and creates extra cover. And so, the one issue with that is the Sidon Barricade has less health, but when you place it down, you can shoot through your barricade. And so what that means is the barricade has low health, but very high uptime, especially now that the meta relies on resilience. But the thing is, barricades are tied to resilience, and the game now promotes you to have the max resilience. And so thus, you now have more health by default, less flinch because of resilience, and then the maximum upkeep in having infinite barricades. It's saying if nobody breaks your barricade, whilst also being able to shoot through your barricade. And now think about it, paired with that Arc 3.0 Titans are the most oppressive, easy to use, and just low risk, very high reward gameplay, now paired with 100 resilience, fast moving, ability spamming, high upkeep, low flinch, high health Titans, all running an exotic that allows them to create artificial cover that they can shoot through, that you can't hit them with unless you break that barricade. And so then it becomes very hard, if you're not running the exact same build or meta, to then, properly implement and utilize it yourself or win. And it's very difficult. And so the comp playlist got very, very unfun to play. And it was this waiting game of people placing down sight and shields, and then nobody doing that, and then moving to the next place, placing down sight and shields. And so, all three game modes typically would never go to time. Now you have this fast-paced, competitive, and sweaty comp environment where every single game mode, no matter what, would basically go to time. Whether it be survival, Rift. Rift would typically maybe go 1-1 or 1-2. Or survival would be like, you would never get those 4 lives down. You would never wipe the enemy team, where it typically would be like 4 lives. You would get 2 kills, and then you would wait out that 90-second timer in order to win the round. where
Like,
showdown
that's
would
your
be just
comp
like
thing,
get
right?
3 kills and then kind of just run away. And so typically you would never reach that 15 kill mark to end the round.
Because
And
I
so
just,
it game
unless it's
very
my
slow,
subset
very
weapons,
tedious,
like
very
I mean,
unfun,
that's
very
half the battle.
oppressive, and very annoying for anything but a Titan arc.
How do I open the
No
menu,
time
bro?
to explain Titan.
What?
And so
Oh,
the comp playlist
huh?
died off pretty quickly.
But you have to hold
And
down
with
to
no
open the menu. What
incentive
is happening?
to even play to reach the max rank, it's just not a good
What is?
look.
Why?
And unfortunately for
Yeah,
Bungie,
Bungie's fucking terrible.
it sucks. Because I would love to see the comp playlist thrive, and I hope that more changes come in the future. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. This is Mr. Fanta giving an informative look. And again, make sure to use code TSHOW at checkout, TSHO, for 10% off your order on any Advantage product, along with being sponsored by Gamer Advantage, the best gamer glasses in the industry for blue light gaming and headaches, and are great for wearing for sleep and helping with migraines and headaches and so on. Also, once again, I'll be live at twitch.tv/Mr. Phantom, MRFANTUV, on the 23rd at 8 a.m. CET, 2 a.m. EST/10 p.m. on the 22nd PST. But I'll see you then, and you have a great rest of your day.